Hi, everyone. You're tuned in to Check In, a podcast for all things travel and innovation, where we unpack the future of travel with those shaping it. I am your host, Harvinder, and today we are kicking things off with someone who's been ahead of the curve, John, co founder and CEO of TravelAI. From building a successful Canadian travel startup to reimagining the business around generative AI, John's journey is packed with insight. Let's dive in. Welcome. Great to have you join us at Check In. Walk us through your early days, your background, your journey so far, John.
Well, it's been a long one. So I'm now getting old. So let's go back to the beginning. And probably the beginning is not actually in travel, but it's about identifying new revolutions when they occur. I graduated mid-90s, liberal arts background, English and art history. And this is basically the dawn of the internet. And at that point, I thought the internet was going to be really cool. It'll be here to stay. And I jumped with both feet into building a .com, as they were being called at the time. And I sort of dabbled around the startup scene for many years. And yes, it was a revolution that was here. I then went in and out of different companies for a couple of years. I either started my own startups for most of my career and or joining other startups. In 2010, I jumped into a new company that we called Left of the Media, building out domain names left of the .com. So that was left of the dot. With myself and a couple of founders, we stumbled into travel a little bit by accident. And that was in 2013, where we had an asset they were managing. We managed to sell that off. And we said, great, the old business model we were working on wasn't working. Let's find a way to do more in this travel thing, because people seem to like what we're doing here. And that really was the start of where we are today, which is how do we use the data to go out and build and take advantage of this next revolution. And in a way, it's a brand new revolution that is not that unlike the revolution we had back in the .com era, which was new platforms, new opportunities, how to go out and take advantage of the fact that things are changing. And that's kind of where we're at today.
Absolutely. Great journey, great insights. And you're right, .com revolution to AI revolution where we are in right now, right? So you're from small town in BC, went on to co-found Left, a company that made waves, MetaBridge top 15, People's Choice, top travel brand in BC and Canada. So what shaped your ambition to build in travel and tech specifically?
In a way, I quickly realized that I'm kind of unemployable in that I liked being in charge, not because I'm a control freak or anything like that, although some may say
That's
that I
very
am.
humble. That's
Yeah,
very humble.
I like building things. When we started out as Left back in 2010, it was because I have, like many entrepreneurs, ADHD, can never focus on any one particular project. And here I was given a playground where I could go out and just build things. And I could work from project to project to project. And because I had surrounded myself with incredible technologists, I could just imagine things and then they would build it. And this is a great combination. As long as they can create a good product spec, they can build anything. I've always been fascinated by technology. So it's, even though I was never a technologist, I still don't view myself as a technologist. I view myself as a builder and a creator. And I've seen good technology, what they can create. I can't do that, but I know what good technology looks like. So from that perspective, it was sort of a natural for me to jump into an era. And for me, it wasn't even, hey, I want to get into travel technology. We don't view ourselves as a travel company, even though we are TravelAI. We view ourselves as a bunch of marketing technologists and technology marketers who are trying to use technology to go out and solve some of the world's problems. And right now we see from a travel perspective that travel is extremely inefficient up and down the chain. If you're in the supply side and the demand side, it's just a very inefficient market because there are so many participants in the market. And we believe that if we can make travel more efficient for all involved, more people will travel, and that makes the world a better place. That's why we're kind of in travel in the very first place.
Yeah, precisely said. Like it's essentially building at heart, solving the problem, seeing the problem firsthand, and providing the solution for that. I think that takes it to build a great company, and also what problems you want to solve for your audience, your customers. So I totally agree with that. You once spoke about the role of forward deployed engineers at
Mm.
What the Tech. That's a bold approach. How has that thinking helped you run early pilots at TravelAI?
Well, the idea of a forward deployed engineer, and for those who don't know, it's sort of a concept that came out of Palantir, and it's been all the buzz in Silicon Valley in literally the last number of weeks. But a forward deployed engineer is taking the engineer and bringing him in front of the house. So often you'd have an engineer that sits at the back of the house, not talking to customers. You have the sales team going out and talking to your enterprise client. A forward deployed engineer is about bringing that engineer who sits at the back of the house out to customers to talk to the customers to learn the problems. And I think what is happening right now in why those forward deployed engineers are being effective is that the customer can explain the problem, and then in explaining the problem, the engineer just literally vibe codes their way to getting a very, very early prototype solution. And that's mind blowing for many, because often you would describe the problem to the sales team go back to the solutions analyst, who go back to the back end, who go back into the, and you basically have this
The whole
not
pipeline.
waterfall deployment, but basically it's still
Yeah.
an agile based deployment, but you basically go from concept to implementation, then back up the chain to actually saying, is this what you're talking about? The customer says, no, it's not what I was talking about. I was more talking about this problem. They have to go back down the chain. And if I think back into my career, and which is kind of why I was blogging about it, is that I was kind of born for this, being this forward deployed engineer without being an engineer. I go out and talk to customers all the time about their problems, their pains, their experiences. And even though I said I was never a technologist, I was really good at understanding the customer problems from a marketing perspective and trying to understand that. But now when I understand those problems, I can just go talk to the machine, as I say, talk to ChatGPT or
Yeah.
Manus or Perplexity, or pick your poison, and I get to describe it to the machine and have it basically create the specs, and those specs get thrown over to my engineers, and we
Yeah.
get to go through those cycles very quickly. But if I think back to the early days of the company, I got very fortunate that one of my earliest employees and now co-founder in the business, Rakib, I found him online. It was a bit by accident, a bit of fortuitous timing, but I found Rakib online, and we ended up getting this great rhythm of, I have an idea, we have a call, basically 2 calls a day, 1 hour calls twice a day, every 12 hours. He was living in Bangladesh, I was living in Vancouver, Canada here. And every 12 hours we have another call, and we check in, and we go through this cycle of
Yeah.
idea, build, check, build, and it's just such rapid development. And in the era of AI, where speed is everything,
Yes.
you have the ability to do the exact same thing, but rather than describing it to the development, you're describing it to the machine, and you can iterate so quickly and
Yeah.
build the next thing. And where speed matters to such a great deal, how quickly can you describe to the machine to get it over the fence to engineers to build and answer the problems, to get the test output, to refine, and you get so many more cycles. So this is the forward deployed engineer, but I think you also have to redefine what is an engineer. And I think most engineers would hate it when you say, oh, this is not a real engineer. You're not a comp sci grad. You're not a this. I'm not. I don't profess to be one. But really, I think most engineers are problem solvers, builders. And now you have these tool sets that allow you to go off and build new things, regardless of industry, regardless of the customer pain. If you're good at understanding those customer pains, you can build new solutions to address those pains. And that's kind of where we found our sweet spot. A bit of a ramble there, but hope that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you put it very nicely here. You don't have to be an engineer with the computer science or with a tech background, because essentially you're solving the problem for the customer. So you need to have that mindset, the growth mindset and learning mindset, to see where the gaps are, where the inefficiencies are, and then you can adapt to those and describe it precisely those who can build it for you. And I really like your forward deployed engineer approach. It's very novel idea, because you're essentially validating before the implementation, because you get to the implementation, it's already too late.
I think so. So another way to phrase it, and please don't get me wrong here. If I was going out and creating something, it's not a shippable product. Like I can't do what the engineers do and build the complete solution with all the security patches and making sure everything it's a performant technology. Much in the same way, I can go out and describe some graphics or some images to the machine, pick your platform again, but I'm not a designer.
Yeah.
But I can get those concepts into the hands of the experts very, very quickly who can go off and build it. And I think one of the things that many entrepreneurs don't do fast enough is get through their assumptions and prove the assumptions. So let's go back 17, 18 years ago. I was running a golf reservations company at a golf startup I was trying to build, trying to match up the supply and demand, as typically most marketplaces do, where I realized that there's a whole lot of searchers who are trying to book golf online. And before we cut any code, I ran marketing campaigns to a one-page website that was broken, intentionally broken. It said a picture of a sign that said ground under repair. And I bought advertising to that page, not because I was going to make money on it, but I had $100 or $200 in Google ad credits. But I needed to validate, would somebody click on an ad that says book your tee time here? And if so, what's the cost of that? And that's proving the assumptions. And the faster you can prove assumptions to know, is there a market or is there not a market? That applies to every business. If you're opening a restaurant, wouldn't it be great before you open that restaurant to know that people want the strange fusion of Cajun with French cuisine or whatever the fusion would be?
Right.
And you try that in that location, and what do people think? It's like, oh, people are coming in the door. Great, now let's build the restaurant.
Yeah.
So I don't think people do enough testing in that area. And the faster you can do those tests to get through the assumptions, which AI technologies allow you to do, you can move very quickly if you can prove those assumptions to say, yes, you should do more of it. No, you should do less of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Total agreement with that. You've built fast before. Now, layering AI over real world traction, what's your core principle guiding this next phase?
It's exactly that. It's operate at speed and scale and always profitably. And so our business model before the age of AIs, which we're now in, is what we call the content traveler data loop. The more content we have, the more travelers we attract. The more travelers we attract might be coming from organic traffic, paid traffic, social media traffic, referral traffic, now ChatGPT traffic. The more traffic you attract, the more data you generate. And in the before times, data used to inform the content. Now data creates the content. And really what that allows you to do is it allows you to go faster within that loop. Content gives you traffic, gives you data, data creates the content, which attracts more travelers, gives you more data, and goes faster and faster. So within that, our business model is still the same as it was for the last decade, which is, hey, let's go out and build brands, let's attract traffic, let's give them what they're looking for, let's match it up, organic, paid. But now we get to go super fast where we take data input as trigger and say, what do we go out and build? We had a query the other day that drove a high value transaction that came through for Navona, Italy, a neighborhood of Rome. I didn't know about Navona, but the machine flagged it as an anomalous transaction that says there's high value here because if you look at the historical transactions that you've had, if you look at the data, they realize there's an opportunity of people who are searching for the Navona Piazza and places to stay nearby this Navona Piazza. We have a brand that's now focused on Navona, Italy, navonaitaly.com. I don't know if it'll be live when this airs, but it'll be live imminently because the machine can go out and create those sites. But it is all about coming down to operate quickly. If you can operate quickly, things can be built quickly and be out to be monetized. The other part of that is operate with speed and scale, always profitably. Because it's easy to start a business, you can start making money right away. Yeah. And I think that's been core to us is that as we grow, we try to grow within the means that we have, but you can get out to Navona, Italy, and they will go out and drive traffic and transactions almost from day one. It costs the price of the build, which is near free, costs the price of a domain name, but when you're going to average hundreds of dollars per transaction, it's very easy to build and go out and make money on that, just that very, very starting concept. Therefore, now catering to customers who are searching for the Navona Piazza in Rome. So that's kind of our philosophy. It's how do you operate at speed and scale, always profitably, and use the tools that you have at your disposal to go extremely quickly.
Operating with speed and scale, so much to learn from. But let's get to our fun part of the
Sure.
session, which is the rapid fire travel edition.
Okay.
So it's time for a quick round. one word answers if you can, but you can go wrong. Totally flexible. Five rapid fire questions. Starting with my first one. Your favorite airport in the world?
Favorite Changi, Singapore.
Window or aisle?
Aisle.
Aisle. One travel hack more people should know.
One travel hack more people should know. Um, pack protein bars.
Oh, that's a good one.
So it's a quick. Often traveling out to meet with my engineering team, I get 2 hours of sleep because you wake up because it's now 13 hours difference, and you wake up at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning after getting 2 hours of sleep, and you're hungry. You could have had an amazing meal the night before, which you often do, but you wake up hungry 3 hours from. So pack protein bars for those.
I'm definitely stealing that one. Most underrated place you've been?
Most underrated place I've been, Tamarindo, Costa Rica.
Costa Rica. City you haven't visited yet, but can wait to?
I'll pick a country more than a city. I'd love to go across to Italy. I've never been to Italy.
Yeah, yeah. That was fun. I'm definitely stealing that travel hack pack protein bars. Before we close, what's one piece of advice you'd like to share with founders trying to combine AI with big legacy industries like travel?
I think the biggest thing that goes back to our very starting conversation about the forward deployed engineer. Every entrepreneur really is a forward deployed engineer. You're out talking to customers all the time. You are the customer. You are the builder. And there's never been a better time to be a builder than today. You can start quickly. You can get up and go, and you can learn. And the fact that we're all in travel, everybody who's in travel wants to be in travel. It's the greatest industry in the world because you're typically dealing with people who are out trying to have fun. Like it's back in university, I was working for Tours in Vancouver, the DMO here in the Vancouver area, as a travel counselor working before the internet, before all those times. But all day long, your job is to talk to people who are visiting your city, and you get to share all the most amazing things about your city. That's why we're in hospitality. You get to talk about the best of things. And yes, things go wrong, and yes, there's problems, but it's all about creating those memories along the way. And because we're in travel, we get to do that. So the fact that you're helping more people travel, just get out and build. Go out and do it fast. Go out and get out in front of the customer. Because worst case scenario is that you have a great experience and you get to travel more yourself. Best experience is you're traveling more yourself. Like there is no downside. There's very little downside you can build in this entire industry. So that's my advice: is just get out and build. Just go out and start something.
For our viewers, get out and build. Thank you, John. This was packed with gold. Here's to making travel simpler, smarter, and a lot more fun. Thank you again. We truly appreciated our discussion and looking forward to many more discussions, John.
Absolutely. Anytime. We'll have to get together in person one day.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. You have a great one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.